Our next speakers are the managing partners of the Open Web Sandbox, Sofia, Kachula, and Vasilya, Rafikova, and they are going to talk about how to enable decentralized leadership in a communal ecosystem like the NEAR ecosystem. So Sofia and Vasilya, welcome to the stage.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Every community requires leadership. Even if it's a highly dedicated group of people, if they're not working full-time on the shared cause, they're probably too busy to be active all the time and participate in every discussion or decision. Communities usually have dedicated members who are in charge of coordination, possibly moderation. This is a quote of Ilya from his article on Sputnik DAO, a piece of technology that was created to facilitate the decentralized governance of empowered communities of Web3. Yesterday and today, both of us had a chance to listen to excellent speeches on technology and talk to people, project representatives, which will undoubtedly lead us to the Web3 world of the future. However, today, me, Vasilya, and Sofia from the Open Web Sandbox would like to talk to you about another driver of that change: communities and leaders that stand behind those changes, those necessary decisions on the way to the world of the Web3. The reason why we would like to talk about this today is because we personally believe that decentralized leadership is an essential element of empowering community members of those communities that actually each and every one of you are building already today. So before we dive into the future, let's take a look at the current situation. Right now, the community of NEAR consists out of very diverse subgroups, projects, and guilds. They're all centered around different ideas and beliefs, different technology, which that's the beauty of it, right? But there's one thing that unites all of them. All these groups are governed in a fairly centralized manner. Usually there is a leader, a manager, a person who is in charge of the most important processes, who is taking the most important decisions. There are also active community members who can take part in those processes as well. But let's be honest, there is a clear vertical hierarchy present. Of course, it goes without saying that this hierarchy is not formal, the communication is transparent, and the feedback of all members is highly welcomed at all times. On the other hand, it does not mean that the accountability is shared or that all of those members participate equally in a strategic planning or decision-making processes. What's interesting here is that, in fact, all those remaining members of the communities are given the option of participating in those processes. But for one or another reason, they've decided, or sometimes decide, not to do so. Also because this degree of freedom can be sometimes freezing. It's a paradox of choice, you know. Having this many options without the necessary guidance leaves people confused, and yeah, they just don't know how to act on those opportunities, and they choose to not do anything. Imagine if every member of our communities would feel entitled and powerful and act on his plans, deploy his talents right away, and therefore will feel as a valuable member of the community right away. Imagine how much more powerful would the NEAR ecosystem be. Nice, right? As mentioned previously, the Web3 technology can provide the opportunity for people to act like that. However, technology is just a tool. People must be empowered by external factors to take initiative, to be active, and to deploy these opportunities. One of such factors is actually the presence of the guidance and creating the safe space where people will feel welcomed and leaded to the right spot where they can actually get their goals. Well, let's talk about this matter in terms of the Open Web Sandbox. To enable collaboration between projects and individual contributors, the initial plan for the Open Web Sandbox was to be a playground, a free space where everyone can learn about Near Protocol, attempt creating something valuable, and get rewarded for this contribution. After launch in April, it became pretty clear to us that that initial plan was rather utopic for the time being. Without necessary guidance, people felt lost, they were confused about the purpose of the platform, they didn't know exactly what they're supposed to be, would quickly get demotivated, lose interest, and leave. At the same point, it was quickly clear to us that the sustained efficiency of the platform was impossible without the steady coordination of all elements, because there were a lot of projects, a lot of members, there was a lot happening. It's just impossible to be efficient without controlling all the processes. At that time, our team started growing. We became 3, and now we are a team of 7 moderators, each with their own responsibilities, but yet keeping each other in constant check. In June, we decided to shift our payout system to Sputnik DAO to ensure efficiency and transparency of the payout process. At this moment, we have 4 DAO council members who vote through the payout proposals, and our roadmap reads even more members in the future. Sorry. Reads even more members in the future. Meanwhile, Open Web Sandbox keeps growing. Our internal processes became more complicated, and so did our contribution to the development of Near Protocol. We are reminded every day that every member of our community can be activated and is extremely valuable for the Near ecosystem. The only thing that's necessary is a couple of conditions to be satisfied. One of those conditions is a present of timely guidance provided by the appropriate leader in the right time and the right space. Now, the question is, how are we planning to satisfy this condition?
Right. So imagine that all the groups on Near are owned and driven entirely by the community members, that absolutely everybody contributes to the collective decision-making process. How does that sound to you? I think this is all why we're here. We're trying to make the shift towards decentralized shared leadership. Decentralized shared leadership. Any ideas what that might entail? Any associations? Anything? More or less? A little bit? Not really. Okay. Compared to the traditional hierarchical companies, online communities are heavily influenced by the emergent, bottom-up leadership processes. What that means, it means that everybody can and actually should be a leader. By raising active, global community members, we will be able to grow self-sustained community of people who would be able to use Web3 technology to take control of our money, of our data, on a large scale. It is those people that we need today. That was a little too early. Well, we're all trying to experiment here with how to build such a community. Let's see what the research has to offer. And the first one right here, which is also the most obvious one probably, is formal leadership position, occupying a formal leadership position. We kind of knew that already before. Boring, but necessary at first. It is up to the formal leaders to facilitate a cascade of leadership and provide simple, positive, concise messages to people. This is also what we do in Open Web Sandbox. Communication theory from 50s has already discovered that top-down, one-way communication does not diffuse innovation on its own. What it does, it affects opinion leaders, and opinion leaders, in fact, affect broader audience. There we go, consistent communication. As social human beings, we're always looking help and advice from other people, which is also true in online communities. Getting a warm response from your moderator solely based on your membership can be a very strong catalyst for future engagement. This is also what we're trying to do in Open Web Sandbox. We're using multiple channels to address people wherever they're joining us. For the same reason, we opened language hubs to ensure that people can ask questions and learn about NEAR ecosystem in their native language. Network position. Leaders also tend to be somehow influential. We saw in Open Web Sandbox that individuals who are considered inspirational, important, they get more likes, more reactions. Their actions are considered as having a bigger impact. Network position. Researchers see that as a proxy of leadership, in fact. Opinions, power, and influence is coming from the network of supporting users, but also contributors and people who are interested. Personal connection. It is a great way to feel value within an online community. It is at this moment when we start talking to friends, to family, about how much engaged you are in your community. This is advocacy. This is also what we're striving for in Open Web Sandbox, and we hope that everybody can take our lessons from this. Formal leadership, consistent communication, and network position. We aim to construct such a network where centralized governance would not be needed anymore, where people would be supported and they could motivate each other in a decentralized manner. As our new roadmap, and together with the educational unit of NEAR, we're going to implement such a mentorship system where new people are supported by experienced sandboxers. This is one of our goals. We continue building our network, and we're trying to help other people to do so as well. Today, one of our greatest achievements is that in less than 6 months, Sandbox has become a living concept. That means that if our team had to be removed, the idea of people communicating to each other, engaging with projects that are already building a top of NEAR in one digital platform in a consistent manner, that idea will stay with us. The factors that we just mentioned, which is formal leadership, consistent communication, and network positions, those are things that have been discovered already in science, in psychology, communication theory a long time ago. So we should definitely use them. As Open Web Sandbox colleagues, but also early developers? Are we developers? Community developers. One of our goals is to enable near mass adoption. But what we're also trying to do is to empower other people to be able and to be willing to do so. We're here to facilitate early adoption. But one of our mission and vision is to share our passion about the open web and NEAR with everybody who is as passionate about it. Thank you.